Hi guys, this is the Tarot 101 course for the court cards of the swords. We are starting off the video with the Page of Swords. Now the Page of Swords, as if you haven't, if you're not aware, the court cards are usually people who represent the element of the particular suit that they're part of. Since this is swords, these are people who are more thinkative and they are more inventors and people with ideas and how to create things, but with their mind. It's all about mind power and imagination. Okay? So, starting off with the page, the obvious thing is that it is a young woman, because remember, the court cards usually represent people that you know. So the pages usually mean a feminine person that is very young. Could be a woman, could be a young man, as long as it's they're feminine in nature, in the way that they act in a feminine kind of energy. Meaning that it's not an aggressive energy, it's more, instead of direct, it's more, it goes around. That's the best way I can describe it. Pages also symbolize messages. So it could be somebody trying to tell you something, or the card itself trying to tell you something. Okay? So here we go. The page, in general, it normally means somebody who is a feminine, person who is feminine, a female, majority of the time, that is much younger than you or the person that you're reading. So it could be any kind of age group, just as long as it's younger than the person, or younger spirited. It could be like just their spirit, their personality, not just their actual age. So they could be 60 but act like a 16-year-old. You know what I mean? That would be really odd, but that is the case with the way that I'm describing it. Also, the page, since the page is somebody who is young, more, I guess you could say, unexperienced with things that they shouldn't do, the Page of Swords has a tendency of not knowing when to say things. So they have a tendency of blurting out things. So if you, in the sense of confiding with them, not the best thing to do, because they don't have a filter. They don't realize, oh, maybe I shouldn't be, telling this person about this other person's problems, because that might cause tension. They don't realize it, because of course it's a very young energy behind it. So it normally means somebody who doesn't have that kind of experience. The best way that I can describe it, it's like a little girl going up to Aunt Hazel and saying, "Are you carrying a baby? My mom said you look like if you're pregnant." That would be bad, especially if it's somebody who isn't pregnant, and you say that, or your child says that. It has that sort of like, "Ooh, shush it, don't speak right now." So basically it's somebody who just doesn't have a filter. But they are eager to learn and to acquire knowledge. So that is an upside to it. So it is somebody who is eager to learn, eager to acquire knowledge, not necessarily put that knowledge to good use, but just wants to basically fill themselves up with knowledge. But it does depict somebody who doesn't have a filter with that. So it could be somebody who is also a young woman who doesn't understand that maybe it's not a good idea to learn certain things. They might be a little bit, not necessarily impulsive, but have that sense of arrogance that they don't realize that maybe they're not ready to learn something, but they want to, and they don't see the repercussions. They just want to learn. So that's the Page of Swords. Okay, so we're moving on now, and we are going to start. Now we have the Knight of Swords. Now, as you probably already guessed, since the page was a young woman, the knight is a young man. Now, the knight, being that he is a young man, he may or may not be a little bit older than the page, because the page is somebody who's very, very young. The knight is a little bit more mature, a little bit older, but still does not have that maturity of an adult. He usually is very, I wouldn't say impulsive necessarily, but he is a knight that is very cocky, where the page didn't have a filter and doesn't realize that maybe they shouldn't be saying certain things and they shouldn't be carefree about certain information. The knight doesn't do that, but he has this arrogance that he wants to tell you what he has. It's like where the page does it out of naiveness, the knight does it out of ego. Okay? So he may know that by saying certain things he might insult you, but it'll show that he is smarter than you and has more information than you. And that maybe that makes him feel that he's better than you. And that's his thing. It's like he's primed to impress. But at the same time, just like the page, doesn't realize that he may be stepping on certain people's toes and that he might be causing more tension than anything else. Okay? So now we move on to the queen. Now the queen is, again, a queen, so it's more feminine energy. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a woman. It could be just somebody who has a feminine air about themselves. Okay? Now, the Queen of Swords, she is obviously mature, a mature woman who doesn't have the same issues as the page or the knight. So she is very much straightforward, just like the page, but she is strategic about what she says, how she says it, and how she expresses it. She is also the friend that you want to go to when you need honest to God truth. Okay? Because they will not sugarcoat it. The Queen of Swords will not sugarcoat anything for you. She will tell you precisely what is the problem. And now that may not be your opinion. You may not agree, but she will let you know regardless. And she will do it out of the goodness of your friendship and or the goodness of truth, like just being truthful. Okay? So that in itself, yeah, can be abrasive of a personality, but at least she's telling you the truth and you're not getting something that's sugar coated and made to look nice and pretty. You know what I mean? Okay, so now we go to the King of Swords. Now the King of Swords, again, is very similar to the Queen and also the Knight, obviously, because he's, the male aspect of the Knight just getting to maturity. So, yes, he has that cocky sort of like, I want to impress you. I want to show you that I'm better than you and that I'm hot shit. But considering that he's older and more mature and has way more experience of what he should and shouldn't do, he is extraordinarily strategic on how he says things and how he not necessarily manipulates, but if he needs something done and done right, he knows how to speak to you to get you to motivate you to do what needs to be done. And by the time that you're done doing it, you're like, how did the heck did he convince me of this? So he does have a very good silver tongue. but he's not necessarily, he's not cocky at this point. He does have an ego, but it's not the type of ego that is abrasive. It's more charismatic. Okay, so you want to be his friend. You want to be on his good side because he will help you out. He's the lawyer, the business guy that knows how to win that legal battle for you, because he knows how to work that stage and make people see what he wants you to see. Okay, so when it comes to the king, he's an awesome person to have on your side. So if you're reading someone, or if you're doing a reading on yourself and that card comes up, that could mean that it is someone obviously that you know, because court cards usually mean someone that you know, that is very good with the way that they speak, who's either a man or a masculine, or they have a masculine energy about themselves, that is very straightforward, knows how to speak to people to get what he needs and what he wants you to do. So it's a very good person to have on your side. Okay, guys? And that is the end of the swords suit, which I know I've been promising to do. And the next video is going to be about the rods or wands, and I hope you guys stay for that. Other than that, have a nice day, guys. Toodles.